If you took the numbers from 2019, when everyone agreed there was a border crisis, those numbers are still lower than what they are today under Biden's improved policy. Now, the official numbers from July haven't come out yet, but from leaks to news organizations, what we understand is that whatever progress they made in June has been erased in July. It's just as bad as it ever was. So, we're just back to square one with Biden on the border here. It's a crisis by their own admission. Blue state mayors and governors are, saying it's a state of emergency, unsustainable, and we'll see what they do next.
Welcome to the Debrief, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by commentary editor Conn Carroll. Now, Conn, we don't know that former President Donald Trump is going to necessarily be the 2024 Republican presidential nominee, but he does seem to have the inside track on the nomination, at least at this point. So it may not be premature to start thinking about who might his running mate be should he win.
It's never premature. Always a good part of the game. A lot of people point to people like Nikki Haley or even Tim Scott. I don't think he's going to go in these directions, primarily for both of them, because I don't think they want the job. I think he's going to want someone that actually wants to do it. For my top three, at the number 2 spot, a lot of people look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and her forced exit from the House Freedom Caucus, and they interpret that as kind of like her stock being down. I see it in kind of the opposite way. I think that the reason why she got in trouble with the House Freedom Caucus and became kind of distanced from them was because she's been playing ball. She's been more kind of organization guy for Kevin McCarthy, kind of towing the party line, while at the same time still being outspoken, swearing, pissing off all the right people by saying all the wrong things. So I think she's shown that she can do both in a way that I think Trump would view as valuable. And so clearly they have a strong relationship. I could very much see her being one of the choices. The 3 spot, staying in the House, also staying close to House leadership, is Lisa Stefanik from New York. This was someone who, when Trump first came along, she was very critical of Trump. But since Trump's been in office, they've had a strong relationship. Apparently, I didn't know this until I researched the article, they call each other every week. So clearly they have some type of personal rapport. And she likes to brag about the fact that she's the only person in House leadership so far that has already endorsed Trump. So clearly a strong option there. Finally, sticking in the House, if you're developing a theme here, you got Byron Donalds down in Florida. Now, a lot of people, when they fill out Trump VP lists, they're concentrating on a female, on someone who could bring in suburban women. But I think Trump has more growth opportunity by bringing in black men.
He won 1 in 5 black men in 2020.
Absolutely. He got a strong number in 2016. He improved on that number in 2020. And if you look at the 2016 results, if black men had turned out and voted in the same percentages that they did for Obama for Hillary, she easily would have won. So clearly there's a problem that Democrats have attracting black men. And you can't find a better surrogate to talk to black audiences than Byron Donalds. He's married, he coaches football, very authentic guy, graduated, everything else. He's a perfect guy to go on and sell black men on the Republican Party.
And he definitely picked Trump over DeSantis.
Yes, absolutely. He's become a Trump attack dog against DeSantis. So clearly he's already in the Trump camp. He checks all the boxes. I think he'd be a great pick for Trump.
So the Biden administration is starting to have border-related problems very far from the border and in very reliably blue states. Talk a little bit about the Democratic backlash to the immigration situation.
Sure. So New York's been having a problem with migrants for a while. Eric Adams has stepped up the rhetoric, saying that the migrant population in New York is going to cost them $5 billion a year. He said this is simply unsustainable. I totally agree. And then more recently, you had the governor of Massachusetts declare a state of emergency. So these are 2 states, 2 blue states, 2 sanctuary city states. Now, when you say
and 2 Democrats,
2 deep blue Democrat states. Now, you say the word sanctuary city, that has more of a technical meaning that locality won't cooperate with ICE and DHS. But these 2 states also have laws they've passed on their own that are not really sanctuary policies, but more that they're more homeless policies that they guarantee housing for people. So that's really what's draining Massachusetts and New York's coffers, is they're trying to house and feed all these people, and they just don't have the money for it. It's as simple as that.
The Biden administration has been trying to claim that the situation at the border is getting better, and that sort of counterintuitively after the end of Title 42, they avoided a real disaster. But the situation may be more complicated than that.
Well, it's not just complicated. What they did is they boosted the numbers right before, let basically anyone who wanted to cross, and they took that very high number, and then they started actually trying to enforce the border and actually sending some people back to South America and the countries which they came from, and the numbers went down, as they say 70%. But that 70% is still from the highest that they had it down to levels that still would be the highest levels in Trump's presidency ever. If you took the numbers from 2019, when everyone agreed there was a border crisis, those numbers are still lower than what they are today under Biden's improved policy. Now, the official numbers from July haven't come out yet, but from leaks to news organizations, what we understand is that whatever progress they made in June has been erased in July. It's just as bad as it ever was. So, we're just back to square one with Biden on the border here. It's a crisis by their own admission. Blue state mayors and governors are, saying it's a state emergency, unsustainable, and we'll see what they do next.
Sounds a little bit like their story on inflation as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Conn. You can read Conn and the rest of our commentary team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.